The Irrational Confidence Podcast. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Irrational Confidence Podcast. We're talking college football, and championship weekend is here. We're playing for conference championships. We're playing for the first round buys. Spots in the playoffs are up for grabs, and the Duke Blue Devils are trying to cause all sorts of chaos. I'm joined by my co-host, Fresh. How you doing, buddy?
Championship Saturday, college football playoff finals. Spots are announced on Sunday at noon Eastern Standard Time. There's a lot on the line. And we saw last tonight, we're recording as of Tuesday, December 2nd. A lot of chaos is going to happen, a lot of interesting rankings, but then they also come out and say, if you're idle, you can move up and down. Even look at the rankings, somehow Georgia Tech moved up in the top 25 for the overall rankings, but they lost last week. So, it's weird. The Notre Dame Miami talk, how that's going to play out, where Notre Dame is still technically in the field and Miami is not. Tennessee and Vandy politicking on the outside, and the committee basically says we don't have any respect for Vandy as a playoff team because they have no ranked wins, which is correct as it currently stands. It's just a lot. And, even the factor of it, Duke wins, are they, how that plays out and what chaos that causes. If Alabama loses, does that put them out of the field? That's 3 losses. Is it who you lose to as opposed to but the Florida State losses still count. There's a lot that everything in the end basically says is we have 12, we're going to have 16 because right now there's just too many wild cards are being put in right now and the committee leaving people out and other pre-existing rules are causing more chaos. But you're going to get 12 teams at the end of it. The 12 teams are going to play. We're going to see what's happened. But right now, is Championship Saturday, and we'll figure that out first.
All right, Fresh. Real quick on the ranking side of things. I'm looking at it right now. I got 6 locks in my mind. How many locks you got?
7. You're obviously going to have ACC champ. I think it's going to be Virginia. Spoiler alert. You're going to have the group of 5. That's 2. You're going to have Indiana and Ohio State are both locks. Georgia's a lock. Texas Tech's a lock. So that's 6. And I think Oregon's a lock at 7.
Mm-hmm.
The BYU
is A&M a lock.
I think they're going to be a lock at 1. So we're at 18 right there. They're just a 1 lock. I don't see them dropping out of 12. BYU depends on how bad they get beat, and if they win, obviously they're staying in, and Texas Tech will both be in. Notre Dame, if you look at my rankings are available, you can find them how I have them exactly ranked on SpinnableSports.com and how I have everybody else sort of spit it out and sort of ranked out. Will the committee even, no matter what happens, will they bump Miami over Notre Dame on Sunday out of nowhere, like
for no reason?
Is there pressure coming in from both sides? At this point, it's either Miami makes it, in my opinion, or neither make it. The Notre Dame 1-point loss to Texas A&M back in September, kind of like, okay, but you definitely see one team get better. And lately, that South Carolina game 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago that A&M went through and they were down by 30, win by a point, a dramatic comeback, and then get beat by 10 to Texas. In the biggest game basically in program history, in recent memory. It just shows that maybe the press clippings are right. Maybe the strength of schedule they played, came to the top. I think they're going to be interested in the 1 loss, but they can't mess it up anymore.
Right. I got Ohio State, Indiana, Georgia, Texas Tech, Oregon, all as locks. And I also have A&M in as a lock as well. I am very curious on what the end of the day the committee does with Ole Miss. I'm going to probably throw them in the lock category just because of 11-1. And it seems like them hiring Pete Golden was the smartest move because I think it shows continuation of the coaching staff, and that would keep them in the playoff instead of saying, that whole staff would have gone on the plane as rumored and said, like, we're going over to Baton Rouge. I think the committee would have done something different, but because Weiss and Golden are going to be in there, I think Ole Miss would probably be a lock as well. I think everything else comes down to what happens on Saturday.
And an interesting thing with the Ole Miss situation, and we've had the chatter about, well, when Florida State got left out because of Jordan Travis, we have to also remember there's a 14 and now a 12 team. That comes into play here. The 4 team, they were not one of the 4 best because we saw with our eyes 2 games without Jordan Travis. That offense was the same. The defense was still absolutely phenomenal. That Florida State defense was ridiculous. But the 4, I don't think they could have put them in one of the 4, seeing that offense look the way it did. Now, defensively, they were fantastic. This is now a 12-team playoff. They have 1 loss. That was to Georgia on the road by a fourth quarter, effort by the Dogs to sort of pull away. The players are there. Charlie Weiss Jr. coming back to call plays, even though we all know Lane Kiffin's calling the plays, folks. Like, it wasn't Charlie Weiss Jr.
Mhm.
really having the true influence in the play in the offensive game plan. And being back there offers some sort of balance. Well, it's going to adjust their seeding. It's not going to keep them out in the playoff.
Right.
Oklahoma, their defense is ridiculous. Their offense has been putrid. I think it's probably the easiest way to put it. But
Hardest schedule, though.
they have an amazing schedule. They've lost by a single score at home to Ole Miss, but they beat Alabama. But they have a loss to Texas, where Texas is trying to bang the door and get in. They beat Michigan. It's an interesting scenario for Oklahoma where they're going to be seeded, but they've done it. They're there. They've won the games. I mean, the Missouri game wasn't pretty. The LSU game wasn't pretty, but they survived in advance. And they've done what the committee asked them. They had a gauntlet. If they get left out, how do you compare that schedule to Miami? Is it going to come down to strength of schedule? And if you look at the bylaws or principles of the, and the committee, strength of schedule is one of those highly things. Like, who did you play? And it's who you beat and who you lost to. It's not how many losses. I think you have to get away from how many losses, but who did you beat and who did you lose to?
Who did you lose to?
The loss to a Florida State, who is proved, to be a 5-7 ball team, has to impact Alabama. The loss to Florida has to impact Texas. But then big wins over, like Texas case, a big win over A&M, a win over Vandy when they were ranked, a win over Oklahoma helps. So you sort of see, I'm not politicking for Texas. They don't deserve to be in, but I think we have to start looking at it that way of who'd you lose to and who'd you beat, as opposed to wins and losses just straight up on a board. And that's going to carry more weight as we go forward in the future. But that perspective does need to come into play a little more often of who you lost to. Is it a bad loss and a great win as opposed to a win and a loss?
Yeah. And for me, my big one that the hill I'm willing to die on this one is a team like BYU. And BYU, who has again, they have one win over a ranked team at this time, but they did have wins over teams that were ranked by the committee at different times. And their one loss is to Texas Tech in Lubbock. That's huge to me. And again, you've only lost one time to Texas Tech, who is the number 4 team in the country right now, at their home field. And then you play again in the matchup there. I think that BYU has the most to gain and should probably be penalized the least in this situation because of their situation. But that's me, because I'm going to bang the drum for the Cougars there as much as some other people are going to say, hey, we really don't want to see BYU in there. But listen, you can't take it away just because they're in a P4 conference that you have this grandiose thought that you think they're inferior. The thing that we said about the whole Big 12 this year was how much parity there was in there, how closely those teams are stacked together. And BYU has done everything they're supposed to do. Texas Tech has done everything they're supposed to do. And it's a good football team. It's a very good football team.
BYU didn't go off and lose to a mid football team in the program. They're in their conference. They went to Cincinnati, took their business. They beat Utah, but they handled their business. And
they stopped a good TCU team.
Yeah, but handling your business, playing at your schedule, and these conference schedules, the out of conference schedules, they changed obviously with expansion of 9 games for a lot of leagues. Some of those non-conference games have been dropped or moved around, and they have the 10-game requirement. Things are changing in that area, but your conference schedule. I don't punish Texas for that loss to Ohio State. It was week 1. Both teams get out there, even though it was 14-0. They scored a late garbage touchdown. The loss to Florida, when everything was in front of you, was terrible. The overtime survivals at Mississippi State and Kentucky, people watch those.
Right.
Right now there's some people on Texas media, social media fans that are saying that they should now play terrible teams to drive the ratings down to put this payback or as a blackmail to the playoff committee.
Get out of here.
Number one, the reason why people remember that loss to Florida so well and remember those overtime survivals and that tremendous 19-point comeback at Mississippi State is because Texas the brand. The people were watching to see Texas lose. Whoever you're playing, the people are going to watch. They were wanting to see you lose or go down, or if you can come back and win. So the eyes are going to be there regardless. And everybody saw an above average football team. Everybody saw you be at 14-3 against Georgia in the third quarter, get a turnover, a short field score, and then give up 3 straight touchdowns and get blown out by 25. Everybody saw all of that happen, but they also saw you beat Oklahoma and they saw you beat A&M. So the good and the bad are going to be, you're not hiding from anyone. You're not on Longhorn Network anymore being like, oh, we'll hide this game or hide that game. Everything's out there for you to see. if we're not stupid, we know we saw good football and we know we saw bad football. We saw inconsistency and we saw a loss to a bad football.
Yeah. All right, Fresh, let's go. This is an interesting one. Let's get into the conference championship games. This game's on Friday night right now. It is in Tulane, North Texas, Mean Green. They're ranked 24th right now. They're playing for the American. Tulane is ranked at number 20. I love this, Fresh, because it's two singular nicknames for our schools. It's the Mean Green and the Tulane Green Wave. There's only 6 of those in all of college football. Right now, North Texas, 2.5-point favorite at this time. 66.5 is the over-under. Fresh, Drew Messamaker, unbelievable job out of him. Yeah, and we got the kid from BYU who just somehow violates an honor code. He has a great year as well. This should be an interesting football game.
Well, North Texas can score with the best of them. There's a reason why they're, that offense, there's a reason why Messamaker, most pass yards, most passing touchdowns, complete, attempts, etc. They're going to throw the ball all over the yard. This is their chance. Honestly, I think the winner of this game, they're both in the ranks in the top 25. They're both very good football teams. They've shown it. North Texas being 10-1, they're out of conference. Not so great. They're one loss. They got drubbed by USF on a Friday night, but their way to navigate that entire thing. They beat Navy. They navigate the American League play, but this is their last hump because Tulane has shown success recently, whether it was under Willie Fritz or John Summerall, sustained success over the past 4 years. They have a defense that can play, but John Summerall, as he said, we are not where we want to be. There's still room for improvement. Retzlaff on the offensive side, they've been able to score, but they haven't been able to blow people out. They've survived, but they've shown, hey, we can beat Duke. We can beat Northwestern. They beat those are 2 bowl teams. Duke, they beat a team playing for the ACC title already in a game, obviously, it was earlier in the year. They've shown success. They've had it. They've had the big moments, but, they also got drilled by Ole Miss, and Ole Miss was a very good football team. So there's talent on both sides of the ball, but this game is going to be won by the Tulane defense. Can they show up at home and get stops? Because I don't know if the Tulane offense, even though with Retzlaff, if they could go score for score with North Texas, that defense is going to have to beat them. And that comes back to the mental focus of the entire staff and that team to play for John Summerall. They already know he's leaving. Just like on their side, North Texas coach is going to Oklahoma State. Both these coaches are here until for the durations. You're going to see, are the teams playing for each other? Are they happy their coach has got a job and they have a chance to go out here and keep layering on the season, having a special year? Or is there guys already looking in the portal, or, hey, am I going to go to Oklahoma State? Am I going to go to Florida? Am I going to go to another school because my coach is leaving? Is this game really going to mean much? And always, you're like 80% and then 20% out. If Tulane can play some defense and get some stops, then they can drag out some drives, and Retzlaff being a veteran quarterback can be able to get it done. That's the biggest key for me. And if you want setting a standard, Tulane needs to look at what USF and Todd Orlando's defense at USF did about a month and a half ago when USF played North Texas. It was early in the first quarter, kind of going back and forth. They settled down and they shut them down almost immediately. And then it led to Byron Brown, that entire USF offense, and blowing them out. Now, Retzlaff is not Byron Brown. Is real, his ground game is not the same. If the offense can produce like that, they have a chance. That North Texas defense is not the strength of the team, but if they can hold opponents to about 28, they're okay. So it really comes down to, can the Tulane defense get some stops, and can Retzlaff just get to 30? You can get to 30 points, either it's going to be a wild finish or you're probably in a good spot if your defense gets stops. I put money on Tulane to be the Group of 5 playoff representative back in August. I would have loved their chances a lot more if they weren't playing North Texas. But with my money on them, I'm rolling with them. Give me the green wave at home to survive and punch their ticket to the playoff.
Fresh, I'm going to give a quick spoiler here because I already started working on our post 25 All-American team. And I'm going to give the first announcement on my end before we compare notes. And I'll let you know this because you have no idea that I'm going to say this. Caleb Hawkins, freshman running back for North Texas, is a second-team All-American for me this year. And the reason being is the kid has 1,216 rushing yards, 23 touchdowns on the ground this year. But yeah, and he's basically done all of this in 10 games. 10 games, because he got 13 total carries in the first 2 games of the season for North Texas. So ever since the Army game on September 20th, this kid has balled out. He's been absolutely amazing. I doubt he stays at North Texas. If I'm him, I'm jumping in the portal at the end of the season to get some probably get a better starting role, get more, notoriety somewhere else. Oh, yeah. And the dude also added 300 receiving yards and 3 touchdowns there. This kid is an absolute game changer. I'm intrigued to see how Tulane matches up with him this year because not many people have been able to stop him. The kid's averaging over 6 yards a carry here. That's where I'm going to be able to know whether or not this game is going to go in favor of North Texas or if it's going to go in Tulane. If Tulane is able to kind of all of a sudden, North Texas tries to run the football and this kid's not breaking anything. He's getting 2, maybe 3 yards of carry and they have to grind it out. Then I feel really good if I'm Tulane. If I can shut down the North Texas running game, because I think that what Hawkins does is he allows Messamaker to be who he is and be able to throw the football all over the place because I got to put 8 in the box. I got to put 7 in the box. And I got to play single coverage on the wide receivers outside just so I can make sure that I don't get burned deep or I don't get burned on the run game and allows them to throw the ball all over the yard. I think that's going to be a huge thing for Tulane. If Tulane's able to do that, I think the Green Wave win this football game. I'm going to roll with North Texas. I just think the firepower is too much for them. I think that Tulane is kind of seeing the whole writing on the wall here with Summerall leaving. It would be a great way to send him off. I would sign me up for a guy who's accepted the Florida position and has to coach Tulane through the playoff and kind of mess with the Florida recruiting and all of that stuff, because that would just be a blast to watch on all of that. But I think North Texas pulls it off and they're going to be the representative of the American.
It's gonna be a fun Friday night, folks. Turn to ABC on 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It is going to be an event. I mean, the one I will say, the last year Tulane played at Army in the championship game, it was frigid. They kind of just lost the momentum. Have they learned from that experience? Obviously, different offenses, but have they learned from the experience of being in that game with that expectation of winning and that opportunity to win a championship game in front of them?
Yeah. All right, first, let's go to Saturday, championship Saturday here. We're going to kick off the games at noon here. Only game in town at high noon, unless you're watching. I believe some action might be going on at that same time.
You are correct.
Yep, the MAC one. So I might be flipping back and forth, just a little peek in on the MAC and the Miami Redhawks over there. I do have family ties to there, so we'll see what happens. But main one that I'm going to be interested in, the BYU Cougars, they're going to be playing in Dallas. They're sitting there at number 11. The Texas Tech Red Raiders are number 4. Right now, time record, Texas Tech 12.5-point favorite in this game. Over under is set at 49.5. Fresh, get your popcorn ready. I know a lot of people are going to be talking about the later games, but I think that this game is the most intriguing game out of all of the championship one, because I think that if BYU wins this one, there's huge implications to what that's going to mean to the playoff, because I still don't think Texas Tech drops out of this situation with a loss to BYU. And all of a sudden, BYU ensures that the Big 12 should be a 2-bid conference. I think I've made my thoughts pretty clear. My stance is clear. I think the Big 12 should be a 2-bid league. BYU should be in, but they would firmly do it. And if this game's close, I think that the committee really will kind of put some respect on the BYU name.
If it's close, I believe it should be a 2-bid.
If it's a blowout, I get it. If it's a 49-0 boat racing.
If Texas Tech puts it to them, then we get that Miami, BYU, Notre Dame conversation.
Mm-hmm.
From a dollar's perspective, Notre Dame's going to take it. It should resume perspective and head to head, Miami deserved it. But folks, if you haven't figured it out, it's all about money. It's all about money.
Mm-hmm.
So BYU if you put yourself in a situation and get blown out, you're not going to the playoff because money is going to come into play. I think BYU's learned a little bit from this, but their offense is Bear Bachmeier and LJ Martin, and then the sprinkling the passing game. But Bear Bachmeier is not a prolific passer. He's very productive and opportunistic. They have to stay on schedule as BYU. If they get behind the 8 ball, that defense, especially from a pass rush perspective, is going to be unleashed. BYU needs to be opportunistic defensively. What they did at Cincinnati shows who they are. It was a tight game. They ran the ball. They worked through it. They got some turnovers short in the field, and then it snowballed on the Bearcats. Because early out, it was tight. Last time these two teams played was game day was there, feverish environment in Lubbock. Everybody's storming, getting ready to rock and roll. Red Raiders this, Red Raiders that, guns up. Tortillas for everyone. You're now in a more of a, I'm not going to say it's a 50-50 split. Maybe more like a 60-40 because we still have game is in Texas, maybe 75-30, but it will have a little more of a presence. It'll be a different environment. Take a deep breath. You're not in a true hostile environment. Go out there and just play your game. One play at a time, one down at a time. Be who you are. But Bachmeier is going to have to use his arm much more frequently to be successful. He is not. He's a driver. He's a powder keg. But that front seven for Texas Tech is going to shut him down. You're going to have to find ways to use your arm, get Chase Roberts, get the receivers involved more often, keep that defensive secondary at bay. And then the running game with LJ Martin and your own legs will be able to have more opportunities. So how does BYU change up that offense? Now, maybe there's really a jolt. Satake's basically turned down Penn State, so he's staying. That can maybe give a boost of energy to the entire football team. But you're going to have to change up your offense a little bit and be a little bit more balanced. And Bachmeier is going to have to find ways to hit some big throws on third down against his defense to remain consistent. Other side, Texas Tech, do what you do. You already know you can beat this team. And you can beat them by just running the football, hitting them in the passing game, but the defense is the name of the game. Relentless attack, attack, attack. Put them shut down the running game on the line of scrimmage, force Bachmeier to throw, and you'll have a great day. Everything's right in front of you. Go out there and do it. Make that money worth it. You've been saying we got the money this and money that, all the oil money. Go out there and put it to good use on Saturday and punch your ticket to get not just a playoff spot secured, but a top 4 seed. I think Texas Tech puts the boost to them because everybody's still in their mind. And if I was Coach McGuire, I would tell everybody, nobody truly believes you. Nobody thinks that you're good enough. Go out there and make the statement. People are always going to say, yeah, but who do they actually play? Yeah, but the Big 12 is average. Who do they actually beat? Go out there and make a statement. Show the world. Everyone's going to be watching your game. As great as the match is, everybody's watching it at noon on Saturday. Put your foot down, intimidate, put the boots to people because you send a message to the playoff that we're coming. You don't want to go out there and just sort of play with your food and mess around. If you play with your food and mess around, it's going to be like, all right, we can handle this. And if you're going to put some maybe doubt in yourself, like, are we actually good enough? You go out there and put your butts down. You send a message to Oregon, Ohio State, Indiana, Ole Miss, Oklahoma, Georgia, Alabama, whoever else is in the committee, whoever else is in the playoff field, that you are a legit contender. It doesn't matter what league you're playing in. You're an elite football team. This is your chance to showcase. Go get it done. I think the Red Raiders take care of business early and often. BYU will hang around for a half, and then A&M and Texas Tech will run away.
All right, Fresh, this is going to come into a bigger play here in a little bit later in our record. Fresh, since 2004, how many matchups have there been of a team that played twice in a season?
Doesn't matter by conference?
Doesn't matter conference. They played twice in a season. How many have happened? In 24 years?
12.
12, exactly right. 12 has happened.
Right. Is it including this year?
Not including this year. Prior to this year, 12 teams. Now, the last time a team has beaten the same team in the same year, what I will tell you is it has been prior to the college football playoff era.
I say 8 times.
No, I'm just asking you, when was the last time it happened? What year?
Before the college football playoff?
It is before the college football play. I'm giving you a range to make it a little easier on you. Before is when I'm doing, there's 12 of them.
Well, in 2017, Georgia and Auburn played in a rematch and Georgia won.
Right, but that was in the college football playoff era.
So outside the era.
Outside the era. When's the last time it happened? 2017 is 2007. Last time a team beat a team twice is
prior college football playoff era. So
yep. This is 2007. It was the Motor City Bowl, Purdue and Central Michigan. The last time that it's happened where it's P4 teams is 2004, and it's Miami beating Florida State.
And that was in a bowl game?
Bowl game and start the season.
Okay. So not conference championship game.
No. So it's interesting how they're going to take a look at this here. Fresh, I'm intrigued. You said 2017 for Georgia?
And it was 2021 when Georgia played Alabama again, and they beat Cincinnati.
I'm talking about, but they lost to Alabama. I'm talking about the team that won twice.
Okay.
I'm saying
Well,
same team won twice.
yeah, that's
Yep. So
got
like,
it. So it's rare.
yeah, because like you played Auburn in the regular season and lost to Auburn, but you beat Auburn in the championship game. I'm saying last time that a team
On both ends.
won both ends is 2007, and the last time it was a P4 team, it's 2004, and it's the Miami Hurricanes that did it over Florida State. That's going to come into play because one of the things that I have learned over my time with college football and everything else, it is very difficult to beat a team twice in a year. Why? Because you put stuff on tape, you know how someone's going to attack you, and you know how to counter it. I'm going to say this. I think Texas Tech is going to win this football game, but I think I'm taking BYU in the points because the second game is always closer than the first game. This is a neutral field. Last time it was in Lubbock. And I think BYU, because a lot of their players are older, they're going to be more disciplined. They're going to be more focused. They're going to be kind of the same thing why sometimes playing the academies because of the discipline they've shown. I think that this is going to be a very tough game. I think everyone in the country is expecting Texas Tech to roll. I don't. I think Texas Tech is going to win the football game. I think this is going to be a 4-quarter battle for 60 minutes, and this game isn't going to be decided until the 55th minute of the fourth quarter here. The Red Raiders will win this football game. I think they just have a little bit too much talent. But here's the other thing, too. All it takes, bad penalties, couple of bad turnovers, kid gets the ball punched out, special teams play. Something along those lines. If Texas Tech wants to guarantee this victory, BYU cannot hang around. They cannot let them hang around. Texas Tech needs to keep them at arm's length for all 60 minutes. I'm talking like a 9-point lead the whole time. It's got to be a 2-touchdown lead or 2-score lead the whole time. That would make me feel comfortable with Texas Tech. I'm taking BYU in the points in this one though. Giving BYU in the 12 plus 12.5 because it's so hard.
12.5 is a large amount.
Right. In a game that means so much for BYU too.
I think, the boost of Sataki coming back and announcing the Spain and going to Penn State, it's going to give the boys some juice. That does help a little bit.
Yeah, juice, not Mountain Dew or anything caffeinated. Just remember that.
Okay. Water. Give them some water.
Yeah. So again, I'll say this, man. BYU, you guys need to enjoy this. You need to soak it in. You need to just completely. Your season's been amazing. Your season's been amazing. And this is the other reason why I would love to see the playoff committee applaud a team for doing what they've done and give them a spot in the college football playoff. All right, Fresh, let's go to the SEC title game. It's in Atlanta. And again, I teased it for this one. Georgia is going to face the Alabama Crimson Tide. Right now, Georgia, 2.5-point favorite in this game, over under set 47.5. This, I'm going to admit, Fresh, I'm taking Georgia because of the fact of what I just said. I'm not going to leave this till the end here, folks. I'm going with the fact is it is extremely difficult for a team to beat another team twice in a season. Georgia's going to win this game for that factor alone. But this is a desperate Alabama team because in my opinion, and if I'm a committee member, I would hold so true to this. If Alabama does not win this game, they are left out of the college football playoff 2 years in a row. And if I'm an Alabama booster, if I am a player who's sitting there going, I've been promised this, we are one of the blue bloods of college football. We are an elite program, and we're being left out of the playoff twice because we can't get it done. We lose to Florida State. We lose to Oklahoma. We play for an SEC title. That's wonderful. Oh, you're punishing us for a championship game? Yes, we are. No, we're not just punishing for a championship game. Don't get boat raced by Florida State to start the year. Don't turn the ball over 3 times versus Oklahoma and lose that game. Alabama's got some great wins on their end. I'm just going to say this. I need to see something, though, from the Georgia offense in this football game because, listen, while you said it during our wrap-up show, that defense has been improving quite a bit. That offense is on life support, I feel like. And Gunnar Stockton needs to show that he's better than this. But it's going to be a tough one because that's a desperate Alabama team across the field from the Bulldogs.
Well, coming in this game, Alabama owns Georgia. There's a significant problem. It's not just a Nick Saban thing. It is a Alabama owns Georgia football in every aspect. 11 of the past 12. The only win being north of the Mason-Dixon line in a rematch in January of 2022 for the 21 national championship. Gunnar Stockton in the offense versus Texas looks very good. Versus Ole Miss looked very, very good. Last week with Georgia Tech, maybe it's a rivalry game. I don't know, but that team looked offensively. They were just in a major funk. Gunnar now in Mercedes-Benz, half of the SEC championship game last year and playing Georgia Tech in the 6 quarters. It's been an experience. Has the team able to score a little bit? Yeah, but it been clunky? It's been dysfunctional? Yes. The offensive line obviously having some significant injuries and having 2 or 3 starters in and out all that entire game for Tech plays into it. Drew Bobo, availability in question. We won't know if he's going to play or not. We'll find out as the week goes. You definitely saw a downturn in the offense when he has not been on the they've got to dig deep and find it. You've already played Alabama. You know who they are. Tim Key in the middle of that defense is legit. They play. They know what they're doing. They have that aura over the dogs anyway. If something starts happening when Georgia has a turnover, it's the crap. Here we go again. Mm-hmm. It's a mindset. Physically, we've seen Georgia go out there and put up offensive numbers and move up and down the field. It's a mind thing. Can this team actually do it? The players are different, but the jerseys remain the same. They see that crimson helmet with the number on it, and for some reason, everybody forgets how to play defense. Everyone forgets how to block. Everyone forgets how to catch the football. Things just happen. And it doesn't matter how perfect you think you're playing. The dogs just find ways to, they choke. There's no better way to put it. This is also a moment for Kirby. Like, how many more chances? You can beat everybody in the world, but you can't beat Alabama. We talked about it with Ryan Day in Michigan. It doesn't matter what you do. Just go out there and stop overthinking stuff and just get it done. We saw, Ohio State was themselves this past week versus Michigan. They did who they are. They ran, they threw, they dominated. They're like, hey, you know what? We're Ohio State. We are the best football team on this field right now. Let's actually go play like it. We haven't done it in the past 4 years, but let's do it today. Let's actually be ourselves. That's what Kirby and this entire team has to have that mentality of, you know what? Yes, Alabama is good. I'm not going to say they're not. But we have talent on this team too. We've shown it. Let's go out there and just, play football. Let's go hit them in the mouth. Maybe there's a little more of a freedom coming in this game in a rematch where everyone expects you to lose. It's Alabama, Georgia. Everyone expects Alabama to win, Georgia to lose. Maybe that means you're not playing as tight. Like, well, we got a rematch. Let's go out there. Just whatever happens, happens. So we're not going to be uptight and thinking, oh crap, it's Alabama. I don't care what the X's and O's are. I don't care what you know who you are at this point. Everybody, you played them last year, you played them this year. You know who you are. Just go out there and play football. Alabama, mentally, if they get ahead, they're going to use that mental block to really punish the dogs. Georgia's going to have to be not just physically stronger, but mentally stronger. They've been a 4th-quarter team and a second-half team all season long. That's a fact. That has to be a full 60-minute team this time. They've got to be a full 4-quarter football team on Saturday. And what comes down to it also, you're a banged-up football team. Georgia has a lot of injuries. If you lose this ball game, you're playing in 2 weeks. At home or on the road, who knows? 2 weeks of rest. You're going to keep getting worse and worse. If you win, you have a month off. There's always been a talk about, I don't want to play for the conference championship anymore. It's an extra game to get your body beat up in. Does it really help? I'd rather get a home playoff game and get a month off and blah, 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 this. Kirby might be one of the very few coaches in America that actually wants to win a conference championship. And if this team's not going to be prepared, it's going to be on him and the entire staff. He's going to have them focused, have them dialed in. So if they win, fantastic. If they lose, we're going to have a lot of questions to answer going forward. I'm not saying he's not a good coach, but at some point, there is a mental block about Alabama that just defeats the entire Georgia football program, for decades. The last time Georgia beat them south of Mason-Dixon line was September of 2007. That is a major problem. If you lose this game, Penn State technically is still open. Are you waiting? Is Penn State waiting to make a decision, hoping that if they lose, then Kalen DeBoer becomes an opportunity there? If Kalen DeBoer wins this game, it's going to look at a weird. You beat Georgia twice, but you lose to Oklahoma and you lose to Florida State. Where's the dynamic of Alabama football program? It's just ups and downs, ups and downs. If you lose, like you said, that fan base for Alabama is going to erupt. They are going to be furious. Number one, because they lost the championship game. And it's 3 losses on the season. And number 2, that puts them up in the committee's hands. And we have not seen a SEC champion loser in the 12-game playoff last year did not get left out. But we saw it in the 14 playoff in 2023, where Georgia was a 2-time defending national champion, lost in the SEC title game and got left out. So there has been precedent set. Obviously, the 12 and the 4 are different, but Alabama having 3 losses, the L's start piling up. And depending on how they see Miami or Notre Dame or other teams, you leave it in the committee's hands. So both these teams are going to come out with a lot on the line. I think the winner locks in it. If Alabama wins, it makes a very strong case to be a top 4 seed, even though they would be jumping at a team that Oklahoma they lost to. If Georgia wins, they're a top 4 seed, probably a 2. But there's a lot on the line. This game means something for both these programs, both the history and the lineage. Georgia, I'm not going to take a guess. The Dogs are going to win, but it's going to say a lot about how this team, what the mental focus is going forward if they don't.
Yeah, Fresh. Alabama's desperate. They're dealing with injuries. Ty Simpson's not himself. Jam Miller's not playing in this game from what I've heard. You're going to be relying on Kevin Riley or Daniel Hill or whoever's going to be the guy next man up for the running back position. But the running back position has not been a strength for the Crimson Tide. It's really been their defense. And that is one of the things that would scare me a little bit. As long as Alabama doesn't give Georgia a bunch of short fields, I think that this game could be a slugfest. Honestly, I think the under's coming in on this one. At 47.5, I don't think there's going to be, I'm looking at this game, and if you like defense, I'm looking at like a 21-17 type of game. I guess that'd be 38. So I don't know. I really don't know, because Georgia's offense, it shouldn't look the way it does. That's the thing that annoys me a little bit. Like, you have these talent, like
there have been games where they showed up. It's last week where they did show up. But they're Jekyll and Hyde is probably the best way to look at it. There's games where they look really effective, and there's games they look sluggish.
And I'll look at this. The Charlotte, I'm going to take the Charlotte one off of there. The Texas one, it looked good. But again, I'm still waiting. I'm waiting for. I don't know what I'm waiting for. I'm waiting for them to look.
You want them to have a stronger start and come out there and put up 28 points at halftime?
I just want to see them where you don't. It's not even about putting up the points. I guess it's like the physicality that I've gotten so used to of a Georgia offense that when they want to flex their muscle on you, they can. And I guess that's been so inconsistent that, yeah, you've seen glimpses of it, especially in the second half. And I'm still waiting. I know Nate Frazier had a really good game against Georgia Tech. And again, he had 100 yards, 6.8 yards a carry there. But again, the Florida game, I know he ran all over Mississippi State. I'm not going to count that one. He did okay against Ole Miss. He did okay against Texas.
They rotate running backs.
I do, but I need, he is their lead. He is their lead. And I need to see a bully ball type mentality from a lead running back on there. I'm not going against Georgia in this game. Again, I don't think you're going to be a same team twice. I just need to see something more. I've been asking for this, and I know there are times that they show up and there's other times they don't. Come on, guys. You got to show me something going into the playoffs here. And it's Alabama.
They've shown it, but I want to see versus Alabama. They've shown it for first multiple teams this season. They went up and down the field.
And that's what I'm asking for.
They went up and down on Tennessee. They went up and down on Texas. They went obviously Mississippi State. They smoked. They showed up in the second half versus Florida. But doing it versus Alabama is one thing they just don't have the success where, even though it was only a 3-point game, that's where it needs to matter. To put a final bow on this, there was a final image in Athens back in September of Ty Simpson ripping off some of the hedges, walking out the field with it in his mouth. If that image hasn't been plastered over Butson and the House of Pain, the Pain Athletic Facility for the past week, as motivation of this dude just walked in your house and started stealing your, most beloved item. If that's an extra little motivation factor of not only just getting revenge on Alabama, just disrespecting your facility, I don't know what else will. Hopefully it was broadcast, and that's a motivation point, because you need whatever you have in the toolbox that you've used in the past hasn't worked. So you need to find something else that motivates the boys. And the defense also, in the past 2 times when Georgia's played Alabama, that Alabama offense has been able to move the football whenever they wanted. Mm-hmm. Can the Georgia defense show up in this kind of game and get stops and get turnovers and play relentless and wreak havoc on Ty Simpson and the entire team? Because they've run rampant the past 2 years on that Georgia defense up through halftime. That second half in September, they shut them out. But those first 6 quarters, Alabama did whatever they wanted to do. So how does Kirby and Glenn Schumann's entire defensive staff also make adjustments to start fast? and get off the field and let momentum build from there.
Yeah. All right, Fresh. Let's real quickly touch on the ACC title game. Big implications here. If the Duke Blue Devils win this, all sorts of chaos break loose. Virginia is a 3.5-point favorite in Charlotte right now. I mean, Virginia knows what they're playing for here. Like, they get it, right? I hope they do, because this would be a game where all sorts of chaos breaks loose in the college football world.
Well, quickly, Virginia beat Duke earlier in the year, but somebody brought up a great point. There was a year in the Big Ten title game when they used to have the leaders and legends, and Wisconsin was third in the same division with Penn State and Ohio State. Penn State and Ohio State were both banned from playing for the title due to various issues going on off the field or on the field. They were not allowed to play for the Big Ten title. So a 7-5 overall Wisconsin Badger football team had to play Nebraska, who was ranked in the top 10. And that's the day that Wisconsin dropped 70 on them. They basically knew, and some of the players said we were going to the Rose Bowl or they were going to like the Idaho Potato Bowl. Like there was no in between. It was Penthouse or Outhouse. And they just, the entire week of practice, they went and they played. They had nothing to lose. Like we go out there and we get drubbed, everyone expects it. But they are expecting us to show up and play our best game of the year, and they ran it. I expect Duke to come out and be firing on all cylinders because they have nothing to lose. There's literally nothing bad. If they get destroyed by Virginia, I was like, okay, yeah, it happened earlier in the year, whatever. But back to your point about a rematch.
Yep. Three of them.
What does Manny Diaz and Duke have learned from that first matchup? And how does Virginia handle success? How does Virginia understand that the past 3 or 4 or 5, 6, 7 years, they were absolutely a horrendous football team? Tony Elliott was given a major leash and a major, leeway by his administration to stay around, and they invested in him. He's paying it off. But now all of that could be all for naught if you choke this opportunity. You're not playing Miami. You're not playing Georgia Tech. You're not playing Clemson's logo. You're playing Duke, who is 7-5, who lost to Tulane, who you've already beaten. Don't overlook it. Don't just come in all cocky and be like, oh, we got this in the bag. You need to show up for a fight, but also remember that you are a good football team and you have had success. Be who you are. Don't overlook the Blue Devils, but go out there to handle business. Don't play with your food. If you play with your food, you're going to be the biggest laughing stock because everyone said it was not a silver platter for you. You avoided a lot of other top teams in the ACC. You've had a solid schedule. It's all right there for you. Don't blow your opportunity. In the end, I'm gonna take Virginia to win, but it's a mental thing now. Can you handle the success and be able to sustain it?
I really am curious on our recap because we have 3 rematches here. Starting off this 4 rematches with all this. What the record is when we record Sunday of how many of these games went as a sweep or how many went as a split. It'll be interesting to look at. All right. I'll go with the Cavaliers just for giggles here, but as much as I would love to see the chaos ensue with Duke winning, I don't know if the rest of I would be laughing straight to the bank because my team is a lock in the college football playoff. I think it'd probably create a hubbub with the college football world.
You know the chaos that would happen. So this right now,
I do.
I haven't seen the full top 25. I don't think Duke's ranked in the top 25, and I know North Texas and Tulane and James Madison. So the ACC would be totally left out because then Miami, at that point, would not be getting a bid. There's somehow, some way, the committee would put too much pressure to leave the ACC out. It would just be a lot of decisions made, I think, in that room. You can't avoid a Power 4 conference from making it if Duke won. It would just be terrible. But let's see what happens on Sunday. I don't want to have to deal with that pitchfork mentality or scenario that might come.
Right.
Doomsday scenario probably is what we should call it.
Right. And weeks ago when your co-host mentioned it and everyone's like, oh, no, there's no way it could ever happen. There's no way. And then all of a sudden we're facing doomsday scenario here. I just had this weird feeling that the 2025 college football season will go down as one of, I think this is directly on par with the 2007 season. I think this is exactly on par with it. All right, Fresh, let's go to the big one. 1 versus 2 in the Big Ten. The Ohio State Buckeyes will face off against the Indiana Hoosiers at time of record. 4.5-point favorite in Indianapolis, Ohio State. Over-under in this game is set at 47.5. I'm intrigued on this one. Indiana has looked amazing at times, and then at other times they, I guess I would say, struggle. I know a lot of people are calling this the Heisman Bowl because the Heisman's down to Fernando and Julian. I think it really could come down to one of those two guys. Whoever plays better in this game winds up winning the Heisman. Although I do still think that a guy like Jeremiah Love is a dark horse, and maybe if Ty Simpson completely balled out in the SEC title game, like a 5-touchdown, 400-yard performance, I think that could maybe swing the tide for him, pun intended there. But I really do think you're looking at the two front runners here. And I also think that we're looking at maybe QB1 in next year's NFL draft in Mendoza there. Fresh, I'm flying high off the Buckeyes there. I won't hide who I'm going to choose in this game. I'm taking Ohio State, but I'll go to you first to let you talk about between these two teams how they match up.
Well, first off, I'm not saying I'm not going to say this is going to always an SEC guy and a Big Ten hater. This is if I'm Indiana and I'm Ohio State, 1 versus 2, this is the least impactful 1 versus 2 matchup. And the reason why
I get it
because both these teams are going to be once these are going to be a top 4 seed. They are very, very good. They've earned it. This game Ohio State hasn't won a Big Ten title in a long time since 2020. That's a great feat for them. Indiana obviously hasn't won it in, I don't know, decades. So that accomplishment is fantastic. But the implications of what do I want to show? That's always the common theme we've had tonight of a lot of rematches. What if Indiana, even if they're it could be a 1-3 or 1-4, who they might meet down the road. How much do you want to give away? Because this game, if you win this one and give away some tells, what if you're playing in the semifinal or a national championship and you lost that game because of what you give away here? The Big Ten title, like we learned from Oregon last year, Oregon won a Big Ten title. It didn't mean anything when the games really started mattering after that. So what are these teams really? Christian Day is going to have teams ready to play. He's going to want to go out there and win a title for Indiana. But in the grand scheme of things, they're both going to be a top 4 team. They're both going to play it out. But the games that really, truly matter down the road will happen in January or in late December. So how much do you sell? It's not like they're going to the loser gets a 5 or 6 seed. I don't expect both teams to really go, I'm going to go blow the other one out. Because 1, 2, 3, or 4 seed, you're still going to a bowl site. You're not getting a home game. The only way one team drops to a 5 is if it's like a non-competitive 49-0. Because then it gets the committee asking some questions. I don't think it's going to happen because, number one, I think the Big Ten commissioner is going to walk to both sides and be like, look, bring both the SIDs, the ADs together and be like, look, talk to your coaches, slow this thing down.
Mm-hmm.
One of you has to win, one of you has to lose. You can't have a tie, but keep it close. You get a 1-2, you both get a top 4 seed. We move on. And then the real chase for a championship goes. Because you know what? We're in this grand scheme of things of which conference is better, Big Ten, SEC, Big 12. The dream scenario is to have the 2 Big Ten teams playing for the Natty. Just like the SEC wants 2 SEC teams playing for the Natty. You want both these teams to get there, so you just get through this game unscathed, try to stay healthy. One team hosts a trophy, you move on, you start to focus on the bigger draw. The Heisman campaign does offer a twist. Now I'm going to offer you real quick 3 quarterbacks. I'm going to leave Jeremiah Love out there because if you did a stat comparison, you would figure out who it was.
Mm-hmm.
Quarterback number 1, 158 for 327, so 78.9% completion percentage, 3,000 yards passing and change, 30 touchdowns, 5 picks.
Julian Sand.
27 yards rushing, so 3,093 total yards, 30 touchdowns. Plays with a loaded offense, especially Jeremiah Smith, Tate, etc. He's a great administrator. Next quarterback. 42 for 340, 71.2%, 192 yards passing, 27 touchdowns, 8 picks, 152 carries, 826 yards rushing, 9 rushing touchdowns, combined over 4,000 total yards and 36 touchdowns. That's quarterback number 2. Quarterback number 3, 211 for 293, 72% completion percentage, 2,758 yards passing, 32 touchdown passes, 5 picks, ran for 243 and 6 touchdowns, combined 3,001 total yards and 38 touchdowns. Who's quarterback number 2 and who's quarterback number 3?
The quarterback 1's Sand because I know Sand's completion percentage. Quarterback 2, hold on, come back because I believe quarterback 3 is Mendoza.
You are correct.
Quarterback number 2. Hold on, give me the stats one more time for quarterback 2.
42 for 340, 71.2%, completion percentage, 3,192 yards passing,
Okay.
27 touchdowns passing. He also ran for 152 carries, 826 rushing yards, and 9 rushing touchdowns.
The 9 rushing touchdowns is what I think is going to give it away here because I know that's not Ty Simpson. I'm between 3 right now, 3,000 yards. Gunnar Stockton doesn't have 3,000 yards, so it's not him. I'm between Aguilar and Pavia.
Very good.
I'll go. It's Pavia. I was going to go with Pavia just because I think Aguilar threw for more yardage than that because I think Aguilar would have thrown the ball a little bit more. I don't necessarily know if Aguilar ran for that many. Maybe he ran for more touchdowns or less touchdowns. I don't know, but I was between Aguilar and Pavia, and yeah.
Good call. So I bring that up because Mendoza has some stats, but he has not played a lot of second halves. So has a committee view of that.
Mhm.
And him last time, I mean, he wasn't on the team last year. I want to see what he does versus Ohio State. He did some second half versus Oregon, but we haven't seen him light people outside of the Illinois game early on. Like, this is your chance to really showcase and truly tell me, not just putting up stats. Because college football, we talked about, our Texas quarterback. You can put up stats. That's great. But show me in the big game in the clutch, go get it done. Same thing we're saying. You have a supporting cast of stars. You have Jeremiah Smith, who, in my opinion, actually should be in the finalists, just because we all know what his career achievements are.
Right.
You get a boost when you have talent like that. So can each of them show up with the heat on there? Because Pavia, I'm not saying he should win the Heisman, but he talks his talk and he backs it up. Which one of these two quarterbacks, in saying Mendoza, with the pressure on the line, and now even though quarterbacks are not going against each other, the defense on their side, who is going to step up and lead their team to supplant the number 1 overall seed and win a Big Ten title? That's where it's not the 1 versus 2, it's the Heisman battle. Who has the moxie to show up and make the big boy throws when it matters? That is going to tell, because obviously voting ends on Saturday night. It's made on purpose to have championship Saturday in play. Who in this game shows up and makes the big boy throws when it's needed? Who has the key turnover that might sway a voter? It's really not, the stats that you saw aren't that different between the two of them. Who's going to show up when the game is big time? Now, of all the big boy throws, Mendoza's throw to beat Penn State, even though the catch was fantastic, he made that big boy throw there.
Right.
Stan hasn't had to make the big boy throw this year because the team's been blowing people out left and right. Saturday night in Indianapolis, it's not really 1 versus 2. It's who's actually going to win the Heisman Trophy and be that number 1. I think both are going, but who's actually going to push that vote over with everybody watching? Right. In the end, the Buckeyes are loaded. That defense is going to, I think, they're going to be in there for a half. But this Buckeye team, they are ridiculously good. And that defense for Ohio State is better than Indiana's defense. And that's going to be the teller. Buckeyes win the Big Ten and supplant themselves the number 1 overall seed in the playoff, in the tournament, in the siesta, in the chaos that's about to ensue.
Yeah. Fresh, I go back to Julian Sam being recruited out of high school and what Nick Saban said about him. And he said, because Nick Saban's seen people forget, Julian Sam committed to Alabama originally and only left Alabama along with Caleb Downs after Saban retired. And Saban said when he was recruiting a kid out of high school, he had never seen a kid with the ability to process defenses as quickly as Julian Sam as a high school kid. And then I think that's number 1. I think what he has between the ears and able to read the defense is something special, something we don't see come around very often. And going back to he just broke the record for completion percentage. And yes, I get it. Fresh, I think me and you, given Ohio State's line and maybe about 15 years off our age here, maybe 18 years off mine, I think me and you could figure out a way to maybe throw for about 1,000 yards with Carnell Tate and Julian Sayin Carnell Tate, Jeremiah Smith, and Max Clare, and Brandon Innes as our wide receivers. I think we could figure it out.
And then the running backs as well.
That's right. Yeah. We could just blindfold ourselves and just throw the ball over there and they'll catch it. I think that Sayin is more cerebral than Fernando. I think probably Fernando is probably a little more physically gifted. I mean, he's taller. I think he probably has a little bit bigger of an arm. Not saying that when you say something like that, everyone's like, oh, that means that, Julian Sayin is the next, Chad Pennington with noodle arm there. No, I think Mendoza's got a little bit more of a rocket launcher on his head. But again, I also take a look at Sayin. I think that he's got the right arm for it. For me, it comes down to the defense there. 1975, the last time a defense has performed like Ohio State's defense, it was the Florida Gators in 1975 that has accomplished what they've done. I didn't think going into this season that Ohio State could be better than what they were in that 4-game stretch run. And I said this to someone today. Think back 1 year ago where we were today, previewing last year. People wanted Ryan Day fired. You're coming off
everywhere.
Everyone. You drew Tennessee. Tennessee was going to make Neyland North, and they took their shirts off in the cold weather. And where you have come full circle a year from now and doing this, like, I could have never imagined it. I could have never written it up there as well. At the same part of me, I talked about how every team in this thing is kind of desperate. BYU's desperate. Alabama's desperate. You take a look at Virginia being desperate. I think Indiana's desperate. But I think their desperation is something a little different. There's a couple of fans out there who will say Indiana would get boat raced by Vanderbilt or they would get destroyed by Tennessee. I'm like, that it kind of proves to me that you have watched no Indiana football this year and you haven't taken them seriously because you're just living off of the name. I think Indiana is fighting to remove that stereotype and that stigma because until they beat a team like Ohio State or beat a team in the playoffs, because let's be honest, they lost to Ohio State last year. They lost to Notre Dame in the playoff. They have a nice win in Oregon this year. Credit where credit's due in that realm. But again, I don't think the eyes of the nation were upon them at that moment. They need that moment where the eyes of the nation are upon them. They need that, we're introducing ourselves, that Indiana football is no longer the bottom dweller of the Big Ten. Like, no, we're here to stay. Mark Cuban's got our back. We're here for the long haul, which I do think with Sonetti's extension, with the NIL commitment that Cuban has made to that program, and people won't talk about that. This is going to be I do not see Indiana dropping off in the coming years. This is going to be a good football team.
But it's about taking that next step.
Right.
And you've gotten here, you made the playoff, but now winning at Oregon was one step. Surviving the environment at Penn State was another. Beating and anyone in the Big Ten, beating Michigan and beating Ohio State, that is what the standard is. You've already beat Michigan last year. This is that next check mark that you are truly there. Going through Georgia, everyone has to go through Alabama and the SEC historically. That is the name you have to get past, jump that hurdle. This is that next step. Where do you match up against the Buckeyes? Because they are an institution. They are a historic, dominant program who recruits NFL talent. They pull them off of trees. You have to go, if you want to reset the thinking, you have to go change this. Because right now, if you are there, it becomes, what's the number? The Big Four and the Little 14.
Right.
And if you have to get past that next one, get past the Big Two. And this is that next level for them. If Signetti and them could do it, maybe it does mean more a little bit for Indiana. If they just get over that hump, that's a mental thing, all right, we beat Ohio State. But if I'm thinking long term, if I'm thinking I might play them in a month and a half from now, how much do I want to give away?
Right. And with me for Indiana, if I'm Indiana and I drop to that, I lose and I drop to the 4 position. Okay. And everything else goes chalk, and you're looking at a rematch with Oregon in the playoff, or you're looking at Ole Miss in the playoff. You get another chance at this. This is not their only chance. And again, it is taking the next step, as you said, because they got a first round bye. They got a first round bye for the playoff. They didn't have that last year.
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
Bye is a lot.
Again, who can you beat in the playoff field? Who do you beat in the playoff field? And that's going to be a big thing for them to get through here. So we'll see. I got the Buckeyes winning this game. I'll take Buckeyes to cover that as well. I think that's a low at there. If Ohio State wins that game, it's going to be by well more than the 4.5 point spread.
Yeah.
If they lose it, I could see them losing to Indiana by 3 if they're going to lose the game, but I don't see them winning the game by less than 4.5 points spread.
Yeah, just get after it and take care of business. But this is where the veteran success of the we've been there before comes into play.
Right. All right, folks, you've been listening to another episode of the Irrational Confidence Podcast. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. We got so much content coming out to you on the daily here. We got the shorts popping out. you don't want to lock in for a whole episode, check out the little hot takes that we have. Engage with us. Leave us those comments. We love interacting with you guys here as well for those. So make sure you're locked in. Special thanks to our producer, Drew. Without him, none of this is possible. We are going to be bringing you an episode on Sunday. We will be recording probably, I think, right after the rankings get released there at 12:30. We'll be talking about the college football playoff rankings. We'll be talking about the bracket, and we'll be talking about what bowl games we are intrigued with. I love the rumored one that's here in Jacksonville, Fresh. If it comes to pass and both these teams miss on the playoff, the Gator Bowl could have the best matchup if CBS Sports is right now. I will take that. We may be going to that one because it's on a Saturday night at 7:30.
We'll see. It should be a
Might
fun
be
time.
live on Gator Bowl.
Bowl season's here, playoff time. But right now, got a lot of championship games and things have to be settled. Before we drop off, my fresh pick for championship week.
I forgot about that.
I haven't picked him so far. Now, after going 2-0 last week, I'm 8-11. I'm taking James Madison versus Troy to win the Sun Belt. I don't care what the spread is. Bob Chesney and the Dukes are going to go out there and lay down, take out Troy before Chesney leaves for UCLA. Give me the Dukes to cover whatever. Give me the Dukes to cover the 23.5. They're going to go big. And with that, until we talk next time, everybody, check out SpinnableSports.com, Spinnable Sports YouTube channel, subscribe, spread the word. Hit us up on Twitter /X @IoConfidencePod. We'll talk to y'all later. Bye, y'all.